Pot is presented by Botano. The game starts now. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace, Jason York, and Bobby Ryan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Brent Wallace alongside Jason York and Bobby Ryan as we get set to welcome in May, gentlemen. Happy Monday, everybody. Listen, speaking of Monday, we had some news. We're going to get right to it because the Nerd Report is 3 pages, and I still have about another 6 to type up. So let's just start with the news today of Snoop Dogg now being involved in trying to get a piece of the action in Ottawa. Listen, one thing that seems to be clear, and I've seen this earlier on, was that there was going to be some kind of celebrity element, it seems, involved with every team. But the interesting part about this, guys, Snoop confirmed it himself after the article by Ian Mendes in The Athletic came out. Snoop basically said on Instagram that he's excited to be partnered with the Neko Sparks group and is looking forward to being a part of the owners in Ottawa. And so, Yorkie and Bob, you guys know this. Like, Bettman used to not want anybody to speak about anything when it came to ownership, and now it's very open and public. It seems interesting on this side.
Yeah, it is. Snoop's been a fan for a long time. He used to come to our games all the time in Anaheim. I don't know if he did that way back when you were around Yorkie, but we used to see him at the rink quite a bit, rocking a jersey and coming in and out of the locker room, and always engaged the fans. So I think when there's a celebrity component, it's a little different, right? It gets people excited. So I think that's just probably why we're seeing it. But I love the idea. I absolutely love the idea. I think he would have a blast being a part owner of that team. The boys
right? No, so my era with Anaheim, we always had Danny DeVito hanging around the room. It was Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman from Cheers.
Oh,
they were at every game. And who's the guy? It was that one rap band there. Anyways, I'll come to me later. Anyhow, one of the best throws of all time. Well, you'll appreciate this. Snoop Dogg, Hockey Night in Canada to Bob Cole. Remember, hey Snoop baby, and Snoop said, "I'm gonna throw it up to my main man Bob Cole here." Now he's been around. He's been around the game for a while. This is pretty cool news. I saw him at Blues Fest when he was here, man, still bringing it. How old is Snoop anyway? Anybody know how old this guy is now? He's got to be getting up there. Yeah, come on, you got to have that in the Nerd Report. But hey, the price is going up by the day for the Ottawa Senators. This is pretty crazy news. Every time I think of Snoop too, Bob, I always think of that one scene from Old School where Will Ferrell comes flying out of the house with no gear on and Snoop's doing the concert in the backyard. Yeah. Snoop-a-loop. So
he's
good.
51.
Incredible.
There you go.
What?
Nice. Around.
I was going older than that. I thought he was
Me
older
too.
than that.
I had the over.
But nonetheless, the city's got to be buzzing about it a little bit, eh?
Gotta be.
Yeah, why not? Like,
Absolutely.
Listen, as you guys know, and Yorkie, you're from Ottawa, Bobby, you played here, obviously, people like to dump on Ottawa saying it's a boring town. And even recently, the mayor came out and said they're going to have some study to figure out how to make nightlife in Ottawa a lot more exciting, to which we've called it the Nightmare. And I think Snoop Dogg would be the perfect nightmare for Ottawa, that he should also be part of that group that he takes on revitalizing downtown. Hey, that'd be pretty good.
Sign them up.
Well, if you ever go downtown Ottawa, all you can smell is pot now, so it's perfect. Like it reeks of pot everywhere you go.
But Yorkie's that guy. Get off my lawn.
Hey, listen, to teach their own, I'm a wine guy. I never got in the pot, but listen. With all this said, with all this news, I still think Ryan Reynolds is in the driver's seat here, fellas. I just think with what he's done with the soccer team, his buzz, his involvement that he wants. I know for a fact he wants to be a hands-on owner. That's been well noted. Everybody in the media knows it's been reported on. I just think that's so attractive for Gary Bettman. Listen, I love Snoop, big Snoop fan, but I think if he were to be involved, and this is just my 2 cents, I have no information. I think Ryan Reynolds wants to be very hands-on, and the proof's in the pudding. What he's done with Wexham, and man, I just think he is in the driver's seat right now with his group.
Do you have any other info you can share?
All I know, this process is, it is like the Wild West. Like, there are no rules. There are bids flying in. Nobody knows what's going to happen. There's a lot there. It is true. There are a lot, like sometimes you'll hear rumors, but they're true. There are a lot of groups interested, lots of people bidding, and it's like an auction. This is an auction, and you think it was going to go to the highest bidder, but then when I start thinking about things, I start thinking about the Melnyk daughters, and let's be honest here. One of the girls is still in school. She's at Queens. How cool would that be to sell the team to Ryan Reynolds? And it's got to weigh in. Like, the human element has to weigh into it. For sure it does. So I just think he's in the driver's seat business-wise for the involvement he wants in it. He wants to be hands-on, and his social media influence around the world is enormous. And that is worth, I don't even know what that's worth to the NHL. I know this, it's worth a ton. And as far as exposure, they have to want him. It just makes so much sense.
It'll be interesting to see it play out. I just wish we could get on with it. The only reason I say that is not to rush the process. It's to decide on the hockey ops and what moving forward, right? The draft is coming, free agency is coming. That's what I wanted to move on. I feel like they're hung up at the moment, waiting for that to happen. Now, Pierre Dorion is obviously acting as if it's business as usual. He has no reason not to. Same with probably DJ Smith, although it's been like 2 weeks, right? When Pierre said, I'm going to go over and think about things, and then I'm going to get back to you about DJ Smith. Well, we haven't heard a peep. So does that mean he's staying? Does that mean there's that's something I'd like to see resolved. So that's the only reason I'd like to see this get done.
Yeah, well, now, I mean, it's got to be the first domino to fall is the sale before everything else gets right. So, and just for the sake of purposes, it's how tiring is it to get talking about it twice a week and not have anything else to build off of? The Nerd Report's struggling.
No, the Nerd Report is very full today.
It was full. I'm burning that.
It's a big day.
And listen,
nobody.
Before we also talked about, there's no way anybody would come in and fire the GM and the coach in the same year and all that. Well, the Calgary Flames have essentially just done that, right? They've gotten rid of Brad Treliving and now Daryl Sutter today. So it can be done, and you can still move on. It's interesting to see how that's going to play out, but I think people are worried about making change in the front office. I think it still can be done and still be able to effectively move on. That's all I'm just trying to get at.
Totally different scenario. They know. I just think new ownership. There's going to be a period where, because this is happening, we here in Ottawa think it's happening slowly, but as far as new ownership is concerned, this is quick. So they've come in, they've visited once, they've saw the team play, who knows how many times, and then there's going to be an acclimation period. And the Senators are so unique because there's no president really in place right now. As far as it's running the hockey franchise, it's basically Pierre Dorion, who answers to the board. So this is a totally different situation than most other professional sports teams, where I don't think anything's going to change before the draft. And then after the draft, we'll see what happens. But a big part of me is thinking that new ownership comes in and says, I want to see what we have in place and how this is going to work. And I think at the very least, they probably hire a president of hockey operations.
Daniel Alfredson.
Makes sense. Right? It makes sense, but
it totally does.
It totally makes sense. And then that decision is made. It's made by the president of hockey ops, and that's usually how business is done. So it's, like I said, it's so unique. It's so different. Ownerships. These owners have been coming in, potential owners, and basically interviewing the general manager. So it's a very unique situation, and that's why I don't think there's going to be any change.
Yeah, I think it'll
wait
stay
and see.
Status quo. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, hurry up and wait.
So we're moving on, and I think it's going to move on to an interesting part. Don't forget, we've got story time coming up later in the show. Please stick around for that. Well, I don't know if we should talk about the playoffs in round one and how bad our picks were, or if we should move on to the meltdown in Winnipeg. Which one would you want to start with first? Yorkie?
Well, Winnipeg. How about the meltdown in Boston? Okay.
I was going
to
say,
oh my God.
Nobody's
talking about Winnipeg anymore.
Okay,
God,
but Winnipeg may have an effect on Ottawa, and that's my point.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Let me throw out. So the Winnipeg stuff, and you guys know Rick Bowness, who has always been pretty straightforward in everything he's ever said and done. He torched his team basically after Game 5 when they lost. To which afterwards, Blake Wheeler, I think the next day as the captain, or actually he's not the captain anymore. He said, quote, I thought Bones had an opportunity to address us as a team. He could have been honest with us, handled it behind closed doors. I didn't like how he handled himself after the game. Now, gentlemen, as players, I think you're going to agree with me that this isn't the first time that Rick Bowness has probably said things to his team. And I think he alluded to it back in January that this has been going on for a while. So if he's coming out saying it now and publicly, it isn't the first or second time.
No, not at all. It's probably been ad nauseum, to the amount of times he's probably talked to his core, his superstars, whatever it might be. But if he's, the media and blowing it up in the media is generally the last step, right? That's what, yes. And he's had to do that twice. So he sounds like he's at wit's end with his group. So that roster is going to look a lot different, come training camp, I think, but I don't know what the salaries are and how things project, but that core is not young anymore and that core hasn't gotten it done. So things are going to change. And I don't think it's going to be the coach. I'd be surprised, wouldn't you, after 1 year? And he came in and he's going to go into the general manager's office and have conversations and say, the problem's in the core. The problem is not in the coaching. That's my guess.
Yeah, it's going to depend on the thing here is Rick Bowness. He doesn't give a fuck anymore. and he's in a great spot in his life where he's old enough. He's made more than enough money where he doesn't care about financially. He's been coaching in the NHL forever. And he's at a great point in his life where he just calls a spade as far as he can see. That young guys and players, we're all the same. Like they always say, you never want to burn any bridges. Watch what you say. Well, Bones doesn't give a fuck. And he just, and it's kind of refreshing.
It is.
And you can agree, you can agree or not agree, but at the end of the day, players know when your coach is full of shit, when your assistant coach is full of shit. And one thing Bowness is he isn't full of shit. So I don't know, Bob, you would know this better than me. I was hearing, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years ago that room was really disjointed, that when Paul Maurice was coaching, and this is just rumors, I don't know if they're true. I heard guys had their own skills coach and they were listening to him before they were listening to the coach. And it was a mess. And I think like you would know better than me on that one.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Adam Oates has built a hell of a business, teaching guys the offensive side of games. And you look at what he's done with certain players and it obviously plays a huge role in providing offense because he's got so many clients and he's making so much money from these guys. But coaches can't love it when you're trying to preach a system and a style of play that doesn't necessarily align with what Adam Oates is doing with individual players. They want to play a separate style that'll create more offense for themselves, but it doesn't necessarily fit the team structure. So I had heard that he came in and wiped that out of the room immediately, but I had heard it's the same thing. We all heard it was just a debacle up there because nobody was listening to Maurice. They needed a different voice, but now you got a different voice and that one's not working. And that just tells you it's not necessarily the coaches that are coming in and out, right? We had always, you guys all heard it because you just said it. It was a debacle. It sounded like up there.
Yeah. And what's amazing? Sorry, Wally, just one more point on that. It's amazing when you watch a team like Seattle, when everybody is bought in, because like really besides the top guys in the league, there really isn't that much difference in the skill level between most guys in the league. You have your elite guys. You got guys that can score like Bob. You got guys that are quick. But there's very few generational players. It's getting guys to buy in. And Seattle's done that. And why did Boston lose? Well, I watched them last night. Like, you watch Pavel Zacha and Pastrnak. Those guys are on their own page. Like, it's can coaches get guys to buy in? And obviously Maurice couldn't. And Bowness is going through the same thing. And I'll give Winnipeg a little bit of slack too. I can't believe this hasn't been brought up more. No Morrissey, no Scheifele. Ehlers, I don't know. He was banged up. Like, they were playing pretty undermanned, but the point was he's obviously not happy with Dubois, and he's not happy with Wheeler and his big guys. So so here you go. He's just and he was caught probably at right after, like, speaking his mind, and here we go.
Well, let's not forget. So you already brought up about Maurice left town. He couldn't get it done. And then they take the captaincy away from Wheeler, which is another sign, right? Like, that doesn't happen when things are going really well. So I just found that Winnipeg is a mess. So the whole reason I brought this point up is, so what happens this summer in Winnipeg? That leads me to the Connor Hellebuyck discussion of, should the Ottawa Senators try and acquire Connor Hellebuyck? He played the most games in the NHL, tied for the most, I think, with 64. I think he played this year. He's played the most since he's been in the league. 445 games played, 436 starts. He's done a lot of work as goaltender. He's got some pretty good numbers. Do you go after him to solve your goaltending needs?
I mean, it's enticing for sure, right? Like, obviously the miles on the body would be concerning at 29, because he's got 1 year left before he's a UFA, and then he's going to get to punch his own ticket. But for me, yeah, I would. I don't see why you wouldn't test the waters, because you don't know where is it Cheveldayoff there? The GM?
Yes.
Yeah. You don't know where his head's at right now. He's probably looking at his roster thinking, where am I going to, what's the first domino to fall? I don't think it's your goaltender, because he's a pretty damn good goalie, and it felt like he was hung out to dry a little bit at times this year. So I'm thinking that he's probably looking at his goaltending situation saying, I'm pretty happy with this. Connor's been a very good goalie for us. And when you ride it out and then you try to extend him, whether he wants that or not, because you're probably going to take a major regression next year if that team changes, right? So I don't see any. I would be picking up the phone. I would absolutely be picking up the phone, trying to just get a temperature for where he's at. But I don't think he's ripe for the picking at the moment either. He's got to sit back and understand what his roster is going to look like.
Yeah, it's
okay. One sec, Yorkie. He's got 1 year left, right? And he makes $6.166 million. My point, and then he's a UFA.
Yeah.
If he says he's not going to sign in Winnipeg, you got to look to move him. Is my point, and that's I guess what I'm trying to get at. If he may control being there or not, and that's all.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to trade him.
No, maybe you're going after Laurent Boisson. How do you say his name? The backup, the old backup for Winnipeg just went head to head with Hellebuyck and beat him. Like, that's how crazy that's how crazy the goaltending position is. You're a god today, a goat tomorrow, and look no further than the Boston Bruins series. Vezina Trophy goaltender that had a season for the ages just shit the bed in the first round. So it's like you think you have something, and all of a sudden you don't. Like, they couldn't trust this guy who's going to win the Vezina so much or so bad that they, in Game 7, they didn't play him. Probably should have done it sooner, but man, that's the toughest thing to do as a general manager, your hockey ops department. Identify a goaltender. And just look how many times Ottawa's screwed it up. Right. And they're not alone. They're not alone. Every team. No. It's like you gotta be lucky. You gotta be lucky, because goaltending, I can't explain it. These guys can get hot. They can get cold. On paper for sure. I love Hellebuyck, but I don't know. He wasn't great in the first round. It wasn't his fault they lost. But isn't that what Isn't that what goaltenders that make over $6 million do? They steal a series for you. So it's I would be more inclined to go after a younger goaltender that's got a ton of upside, that's shown some flashes that can grow with my core.
Okay.
That's probably what I would do, Wally.
Okay, then stand by. You speak, I deliver. So
nice.
I will say LA has goaltending issues. They're a mess to me. And so they've got Cal Peterson, who they thought was going to be their starter. He signed for 2 more years at $5 million. He was waived in the NHL this year and has spent the last 3 months in the AHL. So that's a contract they don't really want to have around. I'm not saying get him. I'm just telling you what they've got going on here. Then they go out and get Jonas Korpisalo because they needed a goaltender. He's UFA. He only makes 1.3. Does he fit alongside Anton Forsberg for you as a goaltending tandem? Maybe. That's not a bad idea. He's not very expensive. And they've got Phoenix Copley, who's he's emerged as their star. I don't think they'll move him. He went 24, 6, and 3. And he'll make 1.5 this year, and then he's in a UFA the following season. But I think LA is a possibility of finding out if they can pick up Korpisalo, perhaps. That's one area. There's another goal leak. I'm going to bring this up, and please don't yell at me, but I know you will. Ilya Sorokin. See? But
I like him.
Again, he's a great goalie. He's 24.
Yeah.
Next year, he's going to be a UFA or the following season. So he's got 1 year left on his deal. My point is, if he doesn't want to sign, we're now seeing guys not moved in their UFA year. They're moved the year before because there's more left for it. So, I would give up everything to try and bring in Ilya Sorokin from the New York Islanders. And if not him, I know you didn't laugh, Bobby. I appreciate it. If not him, then perhaps Jeremy Swayman in Boston, which
Wally,
is it
give me
right? Okay, he's
who told you that
RFA
one?
though. He's RFA, so that becomes a bit of an issue. But I would offer, would you offer sheet Jeremy Swayman, Yorkie?
Would I offer sheet him?
Yeah.
I would try and make some kind of deal with Boston. I think they're going to be in a position right now with Cam Neely where he's going to have to do something to appease the Boston mob right now because they want heads. They want heads on a platter. I don't think they're going to fire Jim Montgomery. I don't think they're going to change the staff. They're probably not going to have Bergeron back. They're probably not going to have Krejci back. But what are they going to do there? Are they going to get rid of Allmark after that season? So, man, this is a guy I would love to have in my organization, young goaltender. And I loved how he came in. Besides the first goal of that game, the 5-hole one, the backhander, I thought he was excellent. I thought Florida had a ton of 10-bell chances, and he kept Boston in the game when it mattered, made some huge saves. Looks like he has a ton of moxie. I think he grew up in Alaska. He's from a remote place where not a lot of goaltenders are developed. Went to Maine University. So I like him. I like him. And while you're at it, get me Jake DeBrusk out of there too, man. A lot of speed. Right? Love how, I don't know, Bob, I'm a big Jake DeBrusk fan, man. Lots of speed, plays the game hard. How good would he look on your second line? Perfect NHL second line player that can score.
Yeah. Going back to the goaltending part of it, I like Swayman a lot because for me, if I'm Ottawa, I don't want guys coming in at 29 and 30 that are stopgaps. It's about finding the goalie that is going to be the goaltender of the future that you think will take you into the next phase, which is competing in the playoffs. He obviously held himself I agree on the goal, but he held himself in very, very well in that game. He's a great target, but I don't know, because why would you break that tandem up there? You find a way to keep both those goaltenders if you're Boston, because they're very, very good and they get along, and you don't mess with that when you have that in a room, I don't think. But I would love to see him. I would love to see him in a Sens uniform. You just got to find a way to get it done. And he can grow with your guys. That's the most important part. He's 24 and he can grow with your guys. That's what you need.
Well, I didn't want to bring this name up, but let's throw Sens Twitter in a rage again.
Oh no! What are you gonna do? No, don't. Don't say the name. We already know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but
I'm
Boston
not
can't
ready for
score. They need to get besides Pastrnak, but man, I'm not a Pastrnak fan. For over $11 million, he just doesn't do it. I know he got 60, but hey,
Yeah.
you got to throw some names out there. Throw the
How does
DeBrincat
he
name
not
out
do
there.
it for you?
Because if you make $11 million, you can't be a guy that takes shifts off. If you make $11 million, you can't be a guy that's obviously a great goal scorer. But for me, you can't be a guy that's not good all the time. Like, you got to be like Connor. You got to be like McKinnon. Those are $11 million players. And I remember, Bob, we talked about this? I watched Pastrnak at Christmas. It was right after Christmas.
Yeah.
And he was god-awful. And then you made the joke, he's probably still hungover from Christmas. But that's the difference. Like, guys like Crosby in his prime, McKinnon, Rantanen, these guys, they have bad games, but it's just not as listen, it's not Pasternak's fault they lost, but he just doesn't do it for me at 11 plus million. He really doesn't.
No, I agree with you. He's not.
Okay, wait a sec. Would you rather have David Pastrnak or Artemi Panarin?
Neither. Neither.
Well, I was gonna say I don't. If I have to pick one, I guess I'm gonna take Panarin. But how much of it? Yeah, no, I don't really want either one of them either. But I would take Panarin, I guess. I just think Pastrnak didn't find a way to change the series, right? He just killed ice time out there, and he was out there, but he wasn't the difference maker. And then you watch guys like Leon and Connor, McKinnon to a degree out west. They're changing the game and they're changing the series. And at $11 million, that's what you need to be doing. And he didn't do that enough in the series for me.
You watch the playoffs and what's going on, and you see guys like Ryan O'Reilly making a difference. You watch Florida, and you see Matthew Tkachuk. Like, even when he's not getting points, he's still in front of the net. He plays inside the dots, and some people, what's inside the dots? That's how you score in the playoffs. You got to get inside position. You got to get your nose dirty. You can't be flying around on the perimeter all the time and hoping the puck comes to you. Man, the other guy in Florida right now, Bob, the winger they got from Calgary, played for Kingston in the OHL. What's his name? Real gritty guy. He's playing on Kachuk's line right now. Sam Bennett.
Yeah.
Like, how good has he been in the playoffs? Every time he's on the ice, the other team's defenseman knows he's out there and knows he's going to play you hard, and he can score. Like, guys like that, the NHL is more skilled now. There's more power plays, but those are the guys that get it done in the playoffs. And that's why you got the Panarins and the Pasternaks. Yeah, they're skilled. Yeah, they're great on the power play. Yeah, they're superstars. But to me, they're not in the same level as, like Bob said. They're not like McKinnon. They're not like Connor. And that's why, to me, I wouldn't be paying $11 million to those guys.
I'll tell you what, I know the Leafs probably, and I'm hoping we're going to preview the series in the next couple of days here, but that series is going to be a hell of a series. All right, we'll start. Yeah, moving on. Then this show's brought to you by Batano, and then we'll go into the series, because my God, is that series going to be fun to watch. So
we do have. So I don't know if we want to tie up Boston or just, you know what? Let's continue on with Boston. But first, we got a few sponsor reads, and then we'll go to our round one board and see how that all played out. So, which will continue on our discussion of maybe players that'll be available now that teams may have to blow up their rosters. Okay. I'll take Batano today, unless somebody wants to fight me for it. If not, I'll just do it.
You got it.
Do it.
Okay. Here we go. As always, our show proudly presented by Batano. Visit Batano.ca or download the app, the award-winning state-of-the-art, by the way. The fastest, most user-friendly, and advanced betting app for your mobile or tablet. Have the amazing world of sports always with you at Batano. Hundreds of betting options for events, and try some same-game parlays with Bet Builder. Also, live in-game betting and the most competitive odds in the market with Batano. The game starts now.
That's a 5.
Yorkie?
Okay. BEI, helping to shave helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. We are hiring laborers, mechanics, concrete structure team. Don't forget, as always, I want to remind you, slow down in construction zones. BEI, Bowness Excavating Contractor. Thanks for your support.
So somebody's going to be getting a call at HR over at BEI for shaving the valley.
That's the Batano app.
No hazing.
As always, our show held together very loosely again by Renfrew Pro, the Polyflex clear tape. You can get all of it at all major retailers as well as at renfrewpro.com. I've never seen this one. Keep pads in position with shin pad tape that will stay securely in place throughout the game. Shin pad tape, shin guard tape is made from moisture resistant. I don't know that word. That is durable while still hand terrible though, with elasticity and memory. Give them a follow at Renfrew Pro on Instagram for free tape Fridays, and you can tag your teammates. Always unlimited entries. Share to your story for 10 bonus, and hope you guys snag some free tape. Thank you to Renfrew Pro.
See,
hey, do you know, Wally? Do you know whose hands were terrible? Mine on Friday. I had to play 3 hockey games on Friday in a charity hockey tournament for Hockey Helps the Homeless. It's like an alien has taken over my body. I can't shoot anymore. I can skate still, thank God, but the hands are just awful. There's Andre Waugh. Oh my God! I told you guys this before the show. We did a hot stove in the stands. It was Andre, George Larocque, and Al Iafredi. Andre talked for about 25 minutes, and there was about 500 people. He had everybody sitting up in the stands at Ottawa U. Everybody was killing themselves laughing. Like this guy, I know you don't know him, Bob, but I roomed with him for about a year on the road. They had to split us up. We were having way too much fun. Just an absolute beauty. But, man, my hands are bad now. Man, terrible. Hand terrible.
You weren't using Renfrew.
No, I wasn't.
I just want to go back, Bobby. This is why I sent this out 2 weeks ago and said, here are new sponsor reads. And you guys went, yep, we got it. And
I did read that. But I didn't see that. Like, I read because it did switch, and I was on fire with my first read because I had done the homework. But then you just threw me there because maybe there was 2 pictures and I didn't see it. There must have been.
So I just wanted they have shin pad tape, which is the best shin pad tape in the business, and so I just thought we'd throw it in with a little Polyflex.
Now we know,
but that's all. All right, so we're moving on now. Let's go to the round 1 our picks board, if you would, Alex. This is so the X's are obviously how bad things are. Tonight we'll wrap up round 1, but our show will be on to round 2 before our next episode, or round 2 will begin before our next episode. So the Ranger game is still in play. Yorkie, you've picked 3 out of a possible 7 series, correct? Bobby, you're at 3 as well. I'm in the driver's seat with 4 out of 7. Okay.
How about, hey, listen, Minnesota got screwed by the referees. They should have won that series.
No, here we go. I'm so mad at myself for that Carolina one. And I just thought I want the Winnipeg and the Carolina series back. How about maybe I'll take the Boston series back? All 3 of us. But I don't know what I was thinking with the New York Islanders. I don't know.
Yeah.
They were playing hockey to get in. I thought they were going to. Damn it.
I know. I'm a big
Carolina doesn't get any respect.
They really don't. No, yeah. That's on us. We got to be better, Yorkie.
The old Michel Therrien quote: "Lack of respect. Nobody's respecting him." When was that? Was that the hit? Was that the hit with player 61?
Greiba.
Where was it? Was that when Greiba
Player
got
61.
him?
Yeah.
Who did he hammer? Lars Eller?
Rafael
Eller.
Diaz. No, sorry, Lars
Oh,
Eller. But he said player 61 was the guy that gave him the pass, which was Rafael Diaz.
It's a lack of respect.
So good.
So you should be yelling at that guy. Oh, P-Mac, he was great. I enjoyed. He was very entertaining. With Bobby, so was he entertaining in the room as well? Like, did he have good one-liners or what?
He had a couple good one-liners. Yeah, he was good in the room. I only had him for a year and a bit, right? Because they fired him and Dave Cameron took over. I think maybe halfway through that year, give or take. But I liked him as a coach. And he was very, very personable. He was always up for a quick conversation and a chat in the morning. So I liked him. We had some interesting coach. Like Dave Cameron always had you in stitches. Guy was good when you got him one-on-one. So I had some really, really fun coaches there. But Paul I came in, that whole Spezza thing was going on with the trade request and it was a tough year for him. It was a really tough year.
All right. So I want to do that in the summer. I actually am trying to get Paul McLean, but I don't know that he'll come on just yet. Is the decision to switch from Linus Ullmark to Jeremy Swayman for Game 7, as you two as players, and that's your team, what are you guys thinking going into Game 7? Did Jim Montgomery just outcoach himself is what I want to know.
I don't know, Yorkie. No, I don't think so. I always think when you get to a Game 6 or a 7 and they're must wins, you have to ride with the guy that got you there, even if he hasn't been his best in the you kind of have to. I don't know if I would have made the switch. But he probably, my guess is that he probably pulsed a few of the older guys and got some kind of feedback. I don't know if coaches always do that, but I'm going into a Game 7 must win with the guy that got me there, and it would have been Ullmark. So I don't know that I make the switch, but it's hard. I mean, he might just have had a feel for the series. They lost the series anyway, but he might not have thought Ullmark was in his best place to play his best game.
Yeah, that's the trouble when you have a historical type season and your goalie is that good. It's like if you don't play him, you're kind of showing that you're nervous and you don't trust what you've done all year. So and that's the trouble when you're that good during the regular season. By that time, I'm probably going status quo. If you're going to make the change, I would have done it earlier in the series. I would have went to Swayman earlier, because to me it was kind of apparent. It was apparent that Ullmark didn't have his best stuff when he started getting involved with Tkachuk and stuff like that. It's just stop the puck. Just don't worry about stuff like that. So, but I don't know. You hear everything that comes out of the wash after, right? Bergeron herniated disc. Krejci wasn't good until Game 7. Like I thought when they brought those guys back into the lineup, they kind of lost a lot of speed. They weren't as hard to play against. And It was like, okay, we're bringing these guys back, but they're hurt. You're up in the series. Why are you bringing guys back into the series? Again, it's because those guys are longtime Bruins. And if you don't bring them in, it's almost like Montgomery was caught in a bad position. You got to bring these guys in because Bergeron is a Hall of Fame legacy Boston Bruins player. So on paper, you have to bring him in. But then you hear he's got a herniated disc. What's he playing for? Like, you're up in the series 3-1. And easy for me to say that sitting here. But hey, if they would have won, it all would have looked great. And hey, the tying goal went in with 40 seconds off of McAvoy's stick. This is the thing that bugs me watching, and I don't know why teams are doing this now, Bob. 50 seconds left in the game. Ice is horrendous. All the teams do now is they sit in the slot and they guard the house, and they let the guy in the corner. They let the guy in the corner have time, who gets it to the point. Why not pressure? Like, why not pressure guys? I don't. Yeah. Like, and like go at the guy in the corner. Don't give him time. It's like I was watching that play develop.
I agree.
What are you guys doing? Like, anything can happen once the guy throws a muffin on from the point, and hey, hits a shin pad on a stick in the net. Like, I don't get why teams play that box prevent defense. I'm of mind, like, go after the guy, but hey, it's Just goes to show you, it's such a game of inches, and I don't know.
It's a matter of forcing them to make a play as opposed to giving them time and space to make a play. Because when you're under duress, you're not going to make the decision that you're going to make when you have all that time. A D-man that's got some skill that's going to be on the ice down one with the last 50 seconds is going to find a lane. He's going to create one. So go out and make him put that puck back down the wall all day long. I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, you just let them walk the top of the blue line and find a lane. They're gonna create one, and then all hell's breaking loose when you got 8 guys in front of the net. So I'm with you there. I'm forcing everywhere on the ice up by one lane.
If you're an NHL defenseman, if you can't walk the line and get it by a set of shin pads that are 2 feet wide, then you shouldn't be in the league. Like, I'm sorry.
I got a couple names for you then, pal.
Like, all you got to do is get it by those shin pads. That's all you got to do. And hey, when the guy doesn't come out, that's good.
I played with a couple guys. You could throw one shin pad out there, and they were finding a way to hit it. And
they were hitting it in
front of the net. Oh, we would. You know how it goes, especially as defensemen. You guys go out there and you're like, "Oh man, we're in our D zone, but so and so's on the ice. We're breaking the puck out the other side." I used to look back at what D-man were in there, like, well, now it's a quick cycle because I'm not throwing this thing. I'm not throwing this thing low to high just to back check. Fuck.
The only thing we don't know, about Ullmark is if he was playing hurt or not. But that's on him then, right? If you're in there playing, I guess there's a difference between injured and hurt. But if you're going in there and you're not 100%. Are you not having a negative impact on your team? So my point is that shouldn't have an impact at this particular moment for him to say, well, I was playing hurt. If you were playing hurt, that you shouldn't have been in the game to begin with then.
True, but no guys coming out and saying that they're not 100% in the playoffs, right? But yes, I get it from our side of it. But as a player, you were finding a way. You were finding a way, even if you were at 90%, you were finding a way to be on that ice.
Bergeron's playing with a herniated disc, and he's still snapping every drawback. Like, just
incredible, isn't it?
Winning them clean every single time. It's crazy.
All right, quickly. Does anybody actually want to win the President's Trophy? It seems like if you're winning the President's Trophy, you can kiss your Stanley Cup aspirations goodbye. So did Boston try too hard to set a record like Tampa did and just give up everything they had for the regular season, and then they have nothing left? As players, what do you guys think of trying to win the President's Trophy? It's nice to have the banner, I guess.
It's nice to have the banner. And you know what, on top of that, you have the regular season that you had, and then you realize, and John Cooper said this, we had faced zero adversity all year. And then you get punched in the throat in playoffs, and you have this adversity, and your guys have won 60 games or whatever it is. And all of a sudden that panic button becomes very, very quick and easy to hit. And that's kind of what happened here, right? And it's just hard to beat a team 7 times in a row that's been playing playoff hockey while you were coasting home, just to get in. So it's like they had to flip that switch, but the switch didn't go right into playoff hockey mode. And it's hard. You want to be, you want the home ice, you want to win the President's Trophy, but at the same time, it's like, are we giving up playoff style hockey to do that? So it's a double-edged sword, really, right?
Yeah. And you look at the history of teams. Well, let's look this year, for example. Mark Stone missed all that time. He was hurt, but who knows? He probably could have came back sooner. And now you got to say he's pretty rested. Look how great he's playing for Vegas right now. Yeah. Kucherov with the long-term injury that year, barely plays, comes back, rested for the playoffs. They win the Stanley Cup. It's hard to play 82 games to get up. And I think Boston, here's the thing. Everyone's so competitive. Every time you lace the skates up and you're put in the lineup, you're going to win. You're gonna give your all. I think it's up to management. It's up to the coaches to try and figure out a way how to keep guys energized, so when the playoffs do come, you're ready. But I don't think Boston lost because they were tired. I just think they had a chance to put them away and they didn't. And who would have thought that Bobrovsky, of all guys, would come in and just shut the door and make some timely saves? But hey, they had their chances. Like Marchand had the breakaway. They had opportunities. Just for me, some of the big boys for Boston, like I look at Lindholm on defense, he was not good in that series. Like for the season he had with Anaheim, he wasn't good. And then I mentioned Pastrnak, and then Bergevin was banged up. Krejci was backed up. So it's health. Health has a lot to do with it, guys. Bob, you know that.
Yeah, you got to be good. You got to be healthy. Yep.
But let's not forget, Boston was up 3-1. They did come out and do what they were supposed to do. And then for whatever reason, they just couldn't finish. Well, Matthew Tkachuk was probably the reason they couldn't finish. And Brandon Montour, they were like, not so fast. Okay, we're going to, tonight, before we move on to round 2, is the last game. I want to tell me who you guys think is going to win tonight's game 7 between New Jersey and the Rangers to be the final team into round 2. By the way, I'm taking New Jersey, the Batano odds-on favorite to win this game.
And I'm going against Batano. I'm taking the Rangers. I took them. I said they were going to win in 7 before the series started. I'm taking the Rangers. They got look. New Jersey's had a great year, and they grew a ton with that young group that they have, and they're getting incredible experience right now. But I think the experience is going to come through for the guys in New York tonight. So that's my pick.
I got a hard time betting against Shesterkin. He's the better of the 2 goalies. And the Rangers, if they're going to get a chance to score here, I could see a guy like Tarasenko and Kane. They're going to be relaxed when they get the puck. Like they've been in these situations before. Those guys just have to work hard. Panarin, if those guys just say to themselves, we're not going to get outworked, they're going to win. But it's just sometimes those guys take shifts off. Like they float around sometimes. If they work hard, they'll win. If they don't, they'll lose. But I'm with Bob. I think they'll work hard and they'll get it done.
The one issue I have with the Rangers is it reminds me of the old Rangers before the salary cap, where they just bought all the stars and they could never win because they just wouldn't all work hard enough. I feel like that's part of this group right now. If Chris Kreider's not scoring goals, I don't feel like they're getting anywhere. New Jersey with their rookie, well, I'll call him their rookie goaltender, but New Jersey concerns me, but I will stick with the Rangers because that's who I picked. So I'll take the Rangers tonight. But boy, I think New Jersey, right? They don't have anything to lose. They're a bunch of young, we'll call it young and dumb is what we like to call it. And they're just going out to play. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So round 2,
I can see that.
we have 3 series ready to go here. So Bobby, you were excited to talk about the Leafs and the Florida Panthers. So what do you think is going to play out here as this series gets set tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken?
It's going to be what I like about this series is that it's a completely different series than either one of these teams just had, right? Obviously, Boston was a skilled team, but they were bigger, they were heavier. Now they're playing an elite skilled team. So I'm looking forward to that. And then Toronto, having just beat Tampa in a very skilled series, not an overly physical one, is now playing against a first and second line that's a lot heavier. I'm really excited to see what they do to try to contain Tkachuk and how he influences this series. I like both teams, and I'm just saying, and Toronto's in the driver's seat for me, but I would not want to play Florida right now if Bob continue to be as good as they have been.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I tuned out. I tuned out for a second. So here's my thing on Toronto. I think they have the weight of the world lifted off their shoulders right now. This whole history of not being able to win a series has been weighing on this core for a long time. I think in their minds, they're not thinking they're going to lose, but if now to them it's been a success. I think Toronto's going to trounce them. I really do. I think Toronto matches up. I think Toronto matches up far better against Florida than Boston. I found Boston slow, guys. When you look at their top guys, as much as I like Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci, they don't play with a lot of pace. So they play kind of a slow, plodding, controlled game. I look at the speed that besides Ryan O'Reilly and Tavares, like you got some pretty quick guys. And if the refs continue to call penalties, I like Toronto's power play a lot better than I like Boston's. I found Boston's power play very predictable, where Toronto's got, man, they got so many different options. I think they're going to win this series. I just think with the pressure being lifted, the skill of the Maple Leafs, I think they have a clear pathway to the finals right now. Man, they did not want to play the Boston Bruins. Now they're gone. I think Florida is a really good matchup for them, and I think Toronto's going to win this series.
Yeah,
by the way,
I
the
think
Toronto Maple Leafs
will win. Yeah, I'm just trying. I mean, they scare me. Florida scares me when they catch. They caught some lightning in a bottle with some guys playing really well and a goaltender that stepped up. So I think it's going to go the distance, 6 or 7 games. It's going to be a really good series.
Well, it reminds me. Could it be like your last playoff team, right? That rolled its way to the Eastern Final. Of you guys were never supposed to really be in that fight at all. You had some stars, but really, like, you just all kind of banded together. The Leafs, by the way,
got a feel for it right now. Yeah, same feeling.
And the Leafs are now the odds-on favorite at Patano to as a Stanley Cup favorites to win. So, we'll it's close. Edmonton is right there, but Toronto is the favorite at the moment. I really want to see. I will never pick the Leafs to win a series, even though I think they might. So I will still pick Florida no matter what. So
you're going
I'm
Florida.
all in on the Brady Tkachuk mojo will help Matthew Tkachuk on the ice to bring this to a conclusion. Let's hope. I just want to see Toronto out. That's all. And by the way, you guys, I don't know, maybe you've seen, Florida wants to try and limit Leaf fans now at the games.
I saw that
by not allowing you to buy tickets in Canadian residency, whatever. This is a recipe for disaster. Because if you try to tell people not to do something, they will find a way, right? You'll get your buddy who lives somewhere to buy tickets and you'll just end up going down or whatever. Don't do this. I think Ottawa tried this years ago to keep Leaf fans out at one point. It's just a recipe for disaster. Don't do this, people. You look small-minded.
Would you rather have all the Leafs fans in your building? I don't mind it.
I don't care. Look at the atmosphere it provides.
Yeah, I don't want. If I'm the Florida Panthers, I don't. I don't
played
want 50%.
Yorkie, you played in a Battle of Ontario playoff series. The atmosphere was amazing.
Listen, I went to a Florida Panthers game last year, Washington and Florida. The atmosphere was amazing, and it was all Florida Panthers fans. There weren't 50% Washington Capitals jerseys. As a player, I don't care what anybody says, you don't want the visiting team's jerseys in your building. You don't want a 50-50 split. I don't. I want my own fans in there. But that's just me.
I don't know, though. It's pretty enticing in South Florida because a lot of shit goes down there. There'd be a lot of great – Florida's got some real mutants, so there'd be some good fights in the stands. As a player, I'm here for the game and I'm here for the after party or whatever's going to happen in the stands after the game.
Oh, you guys.
Good point.
Yeah. All right. We're quickly moving through the next two. Who we got? Vegas playing the Oilers. So, Yorkie, who do you like over this one? And by the way, the Oilers went 3-0-1 against Vegas this season.
Well, the hockey pool mind of me wants Vegas to win because I have the only pool I can win. I've got tons of Vegas players. Man, this is a tough one. Like on paper, the way McDavid's playing, the way Draisaitl's playing, I love what Ekholm's doing on the blue line. How about Evan Bouchard, the coming out party he's having this playoffs? He's been phenomenal back on that power play, moving pucks. But man, I think it's going to be close. Can Mark Stone do a job on McDavid? That's going to be the question. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Vegas in this. I'm going to take Vegas.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah, I like Stoner. I like their depth. I like Pietrangelo. I like their blue line. Can they get good enough goaltending? I think it's been adequate, but I'm gonna take Vegas in 7.
So all right, so we didn't necessarily do predictions on the Toronto series, did we?
No. So
I'm gonna take Florida in 7.
Okay.
Oh,
And then I'm going right here. I'm taking Florida in 7 there. And then just to go against the grain here, I like Vegas a lot too. I like the depth. I like that. But I think the special teams in Edmonton are very, very good. Well, at least the power play is. And I think Draisaitl and McDavid show up and find a way to do it again. So I'm going to take Edmonton in 6.
yeah.
Okay. Yorkie?
Yeah.
Oh, you took Vegas in 7.
Well, so I'm taking Toronto in. I'm taking Toronto in 5, and I'm taking.
Wow.
I know. I'm taking. I don't know why I'm taking Vegas. I just love how Mark Stone's playing right now. I like. How Steven.
fair.
I like how Stevenson's playing. I like their defense. They're big. They're good at boxing out. It's going to be a hell of a job to stop McDavid, though. But I think you can expose that defense a little bit. So I don't know. I'll take Vegas in 7 just to be different.
Okay. I will take Florida in, let's go 6. Let's just screw with everybody. And then Vegas. Vegas in 7. Anyway. And finally, we have Dallas. The Dallas series, in Seattle. This one's interesting to me. Dallas is the favorite to win. 2-0-1 against Seattle this year, but they weren't really blowouts, I don't think, in those games. Bobby, who are you going to pick?
I don't know if I've ever been less interested in a series. If I'm being completely honest, I'm taking Dallas. I'm taking Dallas and I think it'll be a quicker series. But you know what? No, Dallas in 6.
Yeah.
Is Pavelski going to play?
Yorkie?
I don't know. You'd have to think he's coming back soon.
Yeah.
I think Dallas has the better power play. Like, how many times are Seattle going to score these goals where it's exactly off the post and in? And they're squeezing every single ounce out of that team right now, getting huge goaltending. They play hard though, man. They play hard. I think they're going to give Dallas. They're going to give Dallas everything they got. But I got to agree. I'm going to go Dallas. I'll take the Dallas Stars in 6 games in this one.
I really want to see an expansion Eastern or Western Conference final of Vegas and Seattle. I think that would blow all the GM's minds of guys who've been trying for years to get to the playoffs. Like, damn it. Although Andrew Cogliano, if I'm not, it's Andrew, right? Who, the Jordan Eberle hip. Yeah. Now has a fractured neck and is out indefinitely. So I'll say Dallas is going to win that series and probably in 6, but did you guys see the hit? This hit right here on. How is this only 2 minutes?
I have no idea. It's a horrible, horrible hit. Like there's extension. He skates into it. Every single part of that hit's horrible to me. It's just a major, major no-no. So I don't know. In a playoff game, you're looking at trying not to give a team a 5-minute power play in an elimination game. I get that, but that to me, that's 5 in a game all day long. And then it's a phone call with George Peros.
Buddy.
That's a bad hit.
And just so we're clear, I don't think Jordan Eberle's a dirty player whatsoever. And I think he thinks that Cogliano is going to turn a little bit more so that he's not drilling him in the numbers. But holy, does he fold him?
Two things. The two things. Wally, the puck takes a really bad bounce, and right there, Cogliano, he's kind of like, he's got his stick. He's just in a really bad position, and then split-second decision. He doesn't finish him he finishes him probably at 75%. It's not a malicious hit; it's just a reckless hit, and I'm sure Eberle would love to take it back. He's not that type of player.
No, but they're former teammates in Edmonton.
Yeah, he probably feels like shit. Just a play gone bad, and it won't be the first, won't be the last. It's just unfortunately these plays are always going to happen in hockey. They always will.
How do you come back and play the third period?
An animal.
Like, I think it's a little stiff, but I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. Shoot it up, get out there. That's it. But yeah, it's a scary hit. It's a scary hit. So, man, it has no bearing. It's still going to be Dallas anyway.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay. Because we promised it. Alex, roll the intro. Story time. Gentlemen, you guys have both played in game sevens. And yes, even that game 7, Bobby, of Chris Kunitz double overtime goal. No. I would like you, we can start with Yorkies because they were older. And so I have to jog his memory a little. April 29th, 1997, Ottawa Buffalo lost game 7 after being up 3-2 in the series. Derek Plant with the OT winner from Matthew Barnaby, the Ottawa native. What do you remember about that series, Yorkie?
Slow motion goal. Ron Tugnut was the goalie. Hits his glove. He reaches back, and it's like the puck just slowly goes off the glove and trickles into the net. It was a fairy tale like season though. Like we just got into the playoffs, last game of the year, beat Buffalo. Yep. Dominic Hasek 1-0. Then all of a sudden you're in the playoffs for the first time ever as an expansion team. And then you take Buffalo right to 7 games and very easily could have won that series. But Hasek was great. Tugger was great too. Tugger was great. It's just, hey, it's a game of inches. It's usually those types of goals that go in. But I just remember slow motion puck. I'm on the bench watching it go in, and then blink of the eye, series is over. But it was a great time to be on a really young, exciting Ottawa Senators team. But the season was still a big success. That's what I remember. Just to get into the playoffs that year, kind of like what a team like Seattle's doing this year, the same kind of feeling. And I'll tell you what, the building was so loud for those games in Ottawa. It was so much fun to play.
Were you guys nervous going into that game 7? And 2, was there an intimidation factor of facing Dominic Hasek?
No, like you just kind of knew you weren't going to beat him clean. It was going to be shot, rebound, all those buzzwords, traffic, get to the net. He was just that good. That's when Dominic Hasek was winning Hart trophies. He was so he was arguably the best player in the NHL. And Buffalo had a really scrappy team too. They were good, and we were young, and sure, you're nervous, and that's the great thing about playoff games. When I watch games now, that's what you miss the most about playing, feeling alive, playing in those buildings when there's something on the line, right? That's why most guys golf now, and they love to bet on the golf course, because it's just, as athletes, you need something on the line, and you miss that. That's what I miss the most about playing, something on the line. And then the playoffs, it's the best. I could give like the NHL regular season, sure, I miss it, but the playoffs, man, I really miss that. And watching it just brings back so many good memories.
It does.
Do you guys, if either one of you touched the cup, or would you now, since your playing career is over?
I never did when I played. I would touch it now. My career's over, so it's got no bearing on whether I'm going to win one. But yeah, I would absolutely touch it. I'm not a superstitious person by any means, but I would always observe that one because it's an unwritten rule, right? But yeah, I would touch it now. I would absolutely love to see it. I got to see it a couple years ago at Tyler Johnston's day with the cup and spent some time with him, and went to all the parties and stuff, and I stayed away from it, but the kids got some great pictures with Tyler. So let's hope he's not winning another one in Chicago, and I don't know who's bringing it to Spokane, but maybe Yamamoto will bring it up this summer, and I can go touch it this time.
That's funny. I've never touched it. I'm of the mind you gotta earn it. So
yeah.
Oh man, it's one of those things. Would I touch it now? I don't know. I'm over 50 now. But still, when I was playing, and even after I was done, you always think about little things when you had chances to advance and do it. But I don't know, maybe I would touch it now, but I haven't to this point. Haven't touched it.
Okay.
Love watching. I've never missed, since I've retired, I've never missed the final game, watching the cup being handed out and then the handshake. One of my favorite things in pro sports is to watch the final Stanley Cup handshake after whatever the game is. It's awesome. I love watching that.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, Yorkie, you'll get to raise the cup one day when your brother is part owner of the Ottawa Senators, and you guys are Stanley Cup champions. Bobby, you have three game sevens. Two of them with Anaheim, both against Detroit, and one against with Ottawa, obviously against Pittsburgh. What stories do you have from there? What stands out in your mind?
I guess just because it's the most recent and felt like the best chance to win. And maybe it was because it wasn't the first round, the first or second round. It was the conference finals, right? It's as close as I got. That game 7 resonates the most. What I remember about that is we stuck to a script throughout those playoffs. There was no pregame skates, right? Guys slept in, we had lunch, had meetings, did your thing. That was huge for me because I wasn't a pregame napper, but we got absolutely trounced in game 5 down there. I think it was like 7-1 or maybe even 5. I can't remember what it was. We went home and won game 6 and we got back to Pittsburgh and they called for a morning skate the day of game 7. And I thought, what in the fuck are we doing? Why? Like we lost a game badly in a series. You don't need to flip the script. And I remember going back to the game, and I actually remember in game 7 sitting next to Mark Stone, and it was later in the game, and I looked over and I said, are you tired? And he goes, I'm fucking exhausted. And I said, okay, I'm just making sure it wasn't just me and that my legs aren't just, I'm not the only one without legs tonight. Cause you're running on fumes at that point in adrenaline, right? That late into a series and the third round. And it's just a war of attrition at that point. And I remember I was on the ice for the final goal, and it was all the great big saves that Andy made, for him to get beat on that shot that, he probably never saw. It went through 3 or 4 guys. And it was just like when a guy's got a one-timer from the middle of the slot, you're expecting a hard, heavy one, and Kunitz flubs it and it goes up and over and it miraculously finds a way in. It was so deflating. And I felt so bad for Andy because he was obviously our MVP. Aside from maybe Carl, but outside of that, it was just it was the worst feeling I ever had in hockey because I watched that thing go end over end into the net from the side. Just a shitty, helpless feeling. Yeah. And then I think you said, I don't remember tying the game in game 7 late, in maybe 2008 or 9.
2009 round 2, May 14th, you scored the tying goal in the third. It might've been early third, but I know you tied it at 3 and then Daniel Cleary scored the winner. I want to say late in that game.
It was, I remember because Corey Perry and I were on the ice with Getzlaff. That was our line. And it wasn't a turnover, but something didn't happen. A puck didn't get deep and it came back our way. And they scored with 1.5 minutes left. And I remember thinking, fuck, we don't have a lot of time to run this right now, and get the look that you really want. But we did get a couple looks late in that game, but fuck, man, just couldn't get past Datsuk and Zetterberg out there. They were just so goddamn good that entire series. And that was the only team in the West that we in Anaheim felt like, you beat these guys in the West is pretty much easily yours. And we drew them in the first round and we drew them in the second round. We had knocked out San Jose, who was the number 1 seed that year, because we were an 8 seed, went to game 7 and lost. And we felt like if we had gotten past them, we were coasting through the rest of the Western Conference. So
okay, so
shitty ones.
Boys, what is the feeling like going into game 7? Is that like, I'm assuming you don't have to get up for, like, there's nothing that needs to be said or done going into it. Is there just a full on adrenaline? Is it calm? What's it like?
The room's no different. It might be a touch quieter, I guess, Yorkie, if he said anything. It's a touch quieter and guys recognize the gravity of the situation that you're going to go play. But no, I mean, guys are playing soccer, guys are taping sticks and shooting the shit right up until about that 40-minute mark on the clock. And then things drastically change in the room. And they do that in the regular season, but it's much quieter and more more intense, I guess would be the word, getting ready for a game 7 for me. Cause I always felt that you could feel the energy in the room though. You don't have to do much to get up for that game. If you can't, there's something wrong with you, right?
I remember we're playing New Jersey in the first round, and my legs weren't feeling great. I came off warm up, and I'm like, when you're just not feeling it, and you had your legs feel so heavy. I took all my gear off, and I jumped in the cold tub. So I went in that cold just to shock my system. Quick cold tub. Had a sootie, and went into the hall and did some jumps. Like it's almost, you're not really panicked, but you're like, man, I'm not feeling good. So I had to do something to kind of change how I felt. So I went to the cold tub, and then halfway through the game, I go to hit a guy, and I friggin' pop a rib, dislocate one of my ribs. I think I was way too jacked up, and the cold tub probably didn't help. Way too amped up. But no, before a game, for me, I just was always trying to make sure I felt perfect, and you never are going to. And I hated sitting around waiting, so I could try and find a distraction or something. For me, it was a cold tub right before a game.
Yeah.
Like, how stupid is that?
Do the coaches say anything? Like, did they have some speech about, hey, make sure you don't leave anything on the ice, blah, blah, blah?
We showed a pump up video with Guy because at this point we had already known all the systems. You've seen these guys 6 times, right? So you know everything. And Guy showed an incredible video of kind of the road that we were on for the last couple months or 6 weeks, whatever it was. And it was great. I feel like we might've watched it before game 6 too. I can't remember, but it pumped the guys up, and Guy was a great motivator, and I can't remember the speech word for word, but he quoted something and spoke to the volume of the game and what it would mean for us in the city. So, and Randy Carlyle was not like that at all. In the 2 game 7s that I had, it was a much different experience. No, come in, read the lineup, go get out of there. It wasn't the same.
Nothing from Carlyle. So,
yeah,
Carlyle
not
just
much.
Come in
no,
and
no, we had such a veteran team, right? I was the only real young guy. Getson Pear's a couple of years older, but they had already won with him, so wasn't a ton to be said.
Yeah, I played in a pretty big game. It was we had Detroit in the first round, and I was in Nashville the first year we made the playoffs. And yeah, Barry Trotz, he was pretty good. He would come in, and he had a good way of keeping the guys loose, but saying something that was inspirational. But you don't, at that point in a series, when it's a do or die game, the minute you go down the hall and you see the fans, it's already going nuts, whether you're playing at home or on the road. This happened to be Joe Louis Arena. It was nuts. And everyone's going crazy. And usually in the playoffs, every rink has some kind of towels or pom-poms or a whiteout, whatever it may be. But the energy is just so different. It's so much more intense. And you automatically become that much more engaged compared to a regular season game. I know I did. And if anybody that didn't would not be human. That's when the fans can you get pins and needles. I used to get the hair on my back would stand up as I went out for the warm up. And then if you're playing at home, man, you would feel like $1 million as soon as you hit the ice, because you're like, you have this whole building. They want it so bad. You want it so bad. Combine that together and you feel, man, I miss that feeling, Bob.
Yeah, I hear you. Yep. I hear you.
I got 2 questions left. One, Yorkie, what about was it Lugano? Where was it in Europe that played a game 7?
Lugano. What a gong show.
Right.
Different kind of pressure. This is a totally different kind of pressure, fellas, because we were the best team in Switzerland, and playing game 7 at home, we knew if we would have lost that game, someone was getting attacked by the fans after the game. Probably our coach was going to get physically assaulted by our fans. Our goalie had got chased out of game 5 on his moped. Like, I think I told this story. The fans are like whipping rotten fruit at his head. Like, we want to win the game because we want to advance. Also want to win because it's basically the hockey fans over there. They're a soccer mentality, and if you disappoint them, they could kill you. They could. Like you have that in the back of your mind. It's a totally different kind of pressure.
So you won?
Yes, we won, and then we won again. We won the championship, but just crazy fans over there. But when you win, holy shit! When you win, it was man, I've never experienced anything like that. Never in my life. It was after a week. My wife calls me. She's like, "Are you ever coming home?" Okay, I'll be home in a couple of days. I'm having so much fun over here.
Did you wear the gold helmet out to all the bars?
Oh man, a couple of guys wore their gear to the bar that night. One guy left his car downtown. Like we all got team cars, and I think he just left the car in the middle of the downtown square and never saw the guy again. It was just a complete gong show like I've never seen in my life.
All right, I'm going to save my other question because it's going to be a long one about handshake lines. So we'll save that for another story time. But we are back possibly Wednesday, but we'll have a show for you this week with an interview with current Ottawa Senator, hopefully, as long as Bobby shows up with his internet.
I'll be there.
Nice.
All right, boys. Thanks for this one. We will see you later in the week. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jen.
Take care.
Coming in Hot is brought to you by Botano.ca. Please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to never miss an episode.